Kara here from Kara Corey Fit Life, and today I've got something extra fun to make, and it is going to require a little something special. Today we're going to make some protein donuts. So this is of course going to require a donut pan. I found this one at Bed Bath & Beyond and it was like 10 bucks. So very cheap. You could still use this batter maybe in like a cupcake pan if you don't have a donut pan, but kind of takes away from the point of feeling like you're eating donuts guilt-free. So we're going to use that today, and I've been making donuts all weekend, so I have a couple of varieties to show you I've already made. I made one with some blueberries in it, and then I did a red velvet one, and you can get all kinds of creative with like different glazes and toppings. And even with the batter, you can really do a lot of different things for the donuts. So it's kind of nice to be able to have a healthy substitution, because aside from peanut butter cups, donuts are my thing. So this is a great alternative. Today I'm going to use some sprinkles, and we're going to do like a funfetti protein donut. So to get started, you are going to need some MTS Whey. You could use different varieties of whey. You don't have to have the vanilla, but today I am going to use the vanilla. And what we're going to do is we're going to need two separate bowls, because we're going to mix our dry ingredients separate from our wet ingredients. And you're going to want to set your oven, preheat it to 350 while we're getting all of this started. 1 full scoop of vanilla. And as I mentioned, this recipe will make a total of 6 donuts. And they are pretty macro friendly, so depending on your macros, you might even be able to eat the whole 6 if you want. So for dry ingredients, I am going to use whole grain oat flour as the basis, and I'm going to use a ½ cup of that. If you have a different flour on hand, you could use like whole wheat flour, white flour, whatever you have on hand, some type of flour. Maybe you don't have any flour on hand. If you have Quaker oats, you could take a ½ cup of oats, put it in a blender, and that will grind up into a flour for you. So a ½ cup of that. I am going to use 3 tablespoons of almond meal flour. This is just ground up almonds. Adds a really nice flavor and texture. And then lastly, I don't want to add too much sweetener because we are going to get a nice sweetness from the ingredients. So I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons, which is not a lot for me. A couple tablespoons of Splenda. Use Truvia, stevia, whatever you have on hand is fine by me. So those are going to be our dry ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and set those aside for now. I think I forgot to grab a fork. For our wet ingredients, I've got already measured out here just the liquid egg whites. I've got 90 grams, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in a bowl. If you want, you could use a couple whole eggs. Definitely up to you. It's going to make the fat content a little bit higher. Next, I'm going to add some sugar-free maple syrup. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of that. You could use regular if you want. Again, that's just going to drive up the carb macros a bit. So this is going to add to the sweetness of it. And then since we're not really adding any fat to the recipe, I'm going to add in, I have already in a bowl here some pure pumpkin. I have this on hand all the time for baking. You guys should as well. It's a great substitute instead of using fat in a recipe. So I'm going to use 1/4 cup of my pure pumpkin here and throw that in there. Plop it in there. So we're going to go ahead and just stir this all up. Pretty simple ingredients. If you guys don't have pumpkin on hand, another alternative you could use is Greek yogurt. Just like a plain Greek yogurt. That again works as like a nice way to kind of add a little volume to the mixture. Alright, and then I'm going to add this to my dry ingredients here. I'm just going to stir these up quick. Oh, I am actually missing one key component here. Haha. See, I screw up too. I'm going to add baking powder. Don't forget to add baking powder. 3/4 teaspoon. So, do a few of those. Good thing I caught that. If I didn't, I'd be redoing this video. So 3/4 teaspoon baking powder. That's gonna help it rise. So let me just stir that in. You've got your dry ingredients stirred up, your wet ingredients, and then we're just gonna mix those all together. You wanna make sure they're nice and blended till there's no lumps. But at the same time, when you're doing baked goods, you also don't wanna overmix. If you overmix it, that can impact how well it rises in the product. So you just wanna make sure you get it nicely blended. I like to use a rubber spatula to kind of get the sides there. Make sure we get it all mixed in. Smells delicious. So once we've got that all mixed in, I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons here of my sprinkles. Got too much going on up here. A couple teaspoons. I'm not gonna go too crazy because we're gonna save it for on top of our donuts. We'll do one. There's 2 teaspoons. And I'm just gonna go ahead, lightly fold that into the mixture. And that's gonna give us our donut batter. It smells incredible. Okay. Next up, we've got to add this to our donut pan. This can take a little bit of time, not too long, but you just want to get it in there. What I do is I basically I kind of slap the batter in there on all 6, and then I'll go back through and even it out after the fact to make sure the donuts are all the same size. You don't want one overflowing and the other one not, because then they're gonna cook differently. So we'll get these all filled up and get them in the oven. Okay, so I've got the donut pan all filled in. I just took a fork, you can kind of see, I just went and kind of swirled around it to make sure they're all in there evenly. You're not gonna wanna go far. These only need about 7 or 8 minutes to cook in your oven. So don't go too far and get distracted. We're gonna put these in there for 7 minutes. And then we are going to make the glaze that we're going to frost them with while they're cooking. All right, so now we're going to make our frosting to glaze the top of our donuts. And again, you guys can really play around with this and do different flavors. You can use different flavors of whey, whatever you like. I'm going to use the vanilla again just to kind of keep it basic. But you could really use any flavor you want. I'm going to throw in like 1/4 of a scoop. This really is not an exact science at all with this. I'm just kind of doing a couple tablespoons of each. I'm gonna do a couple tablespoons of this plain Greek yogurt. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need the milk. I might use it to thin it out a little bit. I'm gonna see how it is after I mix this around. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of plain vanilla extract, pure vanilla extract. A little bit turned into a lot, guys. Comes out quick. And just a little squirt of sugar-free maple syrup to sweeten it up even more. And I'm just gonna kind of loudly mix that all around. I want it to be more like a glaze on top, less like a thick frosting. So I might add just a little bit of this cashew milk to it to kind of thin it out. But again, up to you guys how you want it. You could keep it more like a thick frosting. The beauty of using ingredients like this, it doesn't matter how much you add of each of them, it usually ends up tasting pretty good, so don't stress it. 7 minutes in the oven, they are perfect. Look how fun those are. They smell amazing. I'm gonna let these cool. You're gonna wanna let them cool for a few minutes before you dump them out of your pan. You want them to cool down before we put the glaze on top. Show you the finished product on the glaze. So we're gonna glaze them and then add some more sprinkles. All right guys, so now it's time to glaze the donuts. So real simple, all you do is leave your glaze in here. I already have most of mine done. I figured you guys didn't need to see all 6 in action. Look how cute that is. Just take that, throw it in there, and just kind of swirl it Just kind of swirl it around, whatever you want. And then if you want to like make it look all perfect, you can just kind of like use your spoon to dress that up and you have your perfectly glazed donut. As you can see, the amount of like stuff I added to my glaze, you can figure out the macros for it. Really adds like an insignificant amount of additional calories to it, but for those precise macro counters, you'll want to. Then I'm just gonna dress it up with a little more of our sprinkles here. I'm gonna put it in my hand actually, because I think that's gonna come out too quick. I'm just gonna dress those babies up. Everything looks better with sprinkles. So you can add as many as you like. I'd like to say rainbow sprinkles are macro free, but they're not. They do have some sugar and carbs in them, so voila. There are funfetti high protein donuts, and I'm gonna have to sample this for you guys because, let's be honest, I'm not prepping anymore. Reverse dieting, so I need this. Oh my god. It tastes like a donut. It's sweet and delicious. Go get yourself a donut pan if you don't have one. If you guys do like these donut recipes, let me know because I can come up with tons more. But comment below if you want more donut recipes or if you want something else. Please remember to go to tigerfitness.com for all your MTS needs. Discount code KARA for 5% off. If you haven't used it yet, go subscribe to my channel if you don't already. I'm trying to hit 50K by 2016, so help a sister out. Keep checking back for more.